What is up, guys? In today's video, we're gonna talk about the temporal vortex, and I'm gonna showcase the team that I've built with Flora. I'm gonna show you how to build one, and I'm gonna give you guys a couple of different examples in terms of replacing some of the characters that you might not have available. So I've done quite a bit of a upgrade on my team since yesterday. Yesterday, I managed to hit a pretty damn good score of almost 500 million. Basically, mythical gear is super freaking OP, but we're gonna get to that in just a second. Before, let's do the regular routine. If you guys want to put your hand on more free rewards, make sure you guys head over to bind a creator's code, and right here use code Skratch. You're gonna be able to claim free rewards as soon as you use it. Plus, you're gonna help to support the channel as well. But let me just quickly explain you what characters are the best in slot. So the best characters in slot for a Flora team, guys, of course, will be Caspar, will be Felicity, will be Erich, and Adolphus as the support. Now, this is a free character that everybody can get. The builds are extremely important because we want to survive as much as possible. Now, I've done all of this rebuilding on my team without actually knowing if it's gonna work better or not. I'm just hoping that it will, because I've actually tried to solve some of the issues that I had happening yesterday. But let's quickly talk about gear first, then we're gonna talk about other characters that you can use in here. So, talking about the artifacts, you're gonna wanna have the Ring of the Scarlet on Caspar. If you don't have that available, you can use the Flame Tongue. That's gonna work pretty well as well, but this is just flat 30% damage boost, which is actually really helpful. Moving on to Erich, you want to have the downpipe organ to basically give a lot of attack to the rest of your team. You see, I have a very high attack on him, and he will give 10% to the rest of the team as well. On Felicity, you want to have the Witch's Remains, because this will apply defense penalty. Now, this will go on top of her skill that will already basically inflict defense penalty on the enemy. On Adolphus, you want to have the Aurelium Vest, so basically you get more damage reduction, so your team can survive longer. On Flora, if you do not have the exclusive artifact, the best in slot is going to be the Queen's Fan, and you're going to want to position her at the very back of the board. Then, if we are actually going to talk about the gear sets, let's start with the three most important gear sets that you need to use. Starting with Erich, you want to have a Puppeteer set, because whenever he's going to cast his ultimate skill, he will give 10% ultimate energy to all of the other characters from the same element, which will enable them to go on an 18 seconds rotation instead of a 20 seconds rotation as they would normally do. On Felicity, you want to have a Brotherhood set. So whenever she's casting her ultimate skill, all allies' elemental damage will be increased by 15%. Now, it's very important to have it in this order, because Felicity will move before Erich, for example, right? So if you're waiting for Erich to proc his ultimate skill and he has the Brotherhood, you're going to miss out on damage. Then the third most important set is going to be on Adolphus, and that is, of course, the Ancestral Protection to reduce the damage from your other teammates, so you can survive all the way to the end, or at least die freaking trying. Talking about the other characters, so on Caspar, either you're gonna go with an Executioner, either you go with mythical pieces. So it's as crystal clear as possible. Mythical gear will deal more damage than having a 3-piece set. Okay, I've done one change on Flora and it boosted my damage by 80 million. Okay, which is just crazy. So if you can build a full set with mythical pieces, they do not stack, so you want to have different ones. Okay, for example, right here, if I could bring in a different attack chest piece, something that's gonna be good. This is not really that great because it's just increasing his attack speed. It's not a bad piece, but it's not really something that's going to boost my damage by a lot, and I'm losing a lot of stats for it, right? It's not a flat boost on damage. I would prefer to use maybe something like this or something like this, if we can actually get them as chess pieces. I'm not 100% sure, but I would assume we can. Maybe I just got unlucky. Then you can use at the top something like the Chaos Symbiosis, This is a pretty good one. Or you can use the Fearless Challenge. This is a very, very good one. But unfortunately, I do not have anything very, very good on the weapon side, right? Like I'm missing a lot of crit rate attack if I'm dropping it. So this would actually make me lose a lot of damage. Then, if we are talking about Flora, for the moment, if you do not have better pieces, this is the best thing you can do. Run a Platinum Knight set, and whatever you have right here, either the Carnage gloves, either you have maybe a Death Record set, or of course you can run an Emperor's Might if you have them available. But this glove alone, it brought me around 80 million damage. 80 million, okay, which is just crazy. Now, if we're talking about talents and stuff like that, because we talked about gear and everything else, let me just actually quickly show you their talents too. So we have, I think it's easier if I go to upgrade, right? Because you get to see everything a bit better. Can we actually go from this screen? No. So I'm going to have to go like this. Go to upgrade and go to talents. So on Felicity, for example, we have the bottom 3. And I'm going to have the bottom 3 on most of the damage dealers because this is guaranteed. You're going to deal 500% attack damage. This dealing damage with the ultimate skill has a chance of causing damage again. So you could basically hit the same damage again, but it's a 25% chance only. Or you have this, which is not as good personally. At least I think so. Then on Caspar, we have the same. On Erich, we have the same. On Flora, we have the middle 3. Of course, this is the exclusive talent, which is going to be really, really good for her. And on Adolphus, we have the top 3 because it's very important to have some more damage reduction and get a shield and everything else that comes with it. Okay, so this is really, really important. In terms of other characters that can be used in here, guys, you can, of course, use, for example, characters like Tunnelnun. Tunnelnun is a very good one because she has a lot of multi-hits. So that's actually pretty good. Gains attack for 10 seconds, then deals fire damage 5 times. Okay, so that's a lot of damage. Her passive will boost her crit rate, which makes it easier to build. And you could replace Erich, for example, with Tunnelnun. You could replace Flora with Tunnelnun. Of course, you're not going to get the same result, not even close to it. But if you're trying to build a wild team, which is still performing pretty well, you can definitely go with that combo. She is the best in slot as an epic. Then you have Foley and Alfie, which are fairly decent, but they won't be providing you with an insane result. So overall, this is kind of like what you're aiming for. Now, as you guys probably noticed, I do have some mythical pieces on the other support characters. On Adolphus, is extremely important to have one of these pieces. When the wearer grants a shield, one debuff is also dispelled from the target. Extremely important, okay, because this will cleanse the defense down. Then, on Felicity, I actually have Mona Lisa's Teardrop because this will give her immortality in case if she's about to die. And I would love to give her instead a piece that can actually just generate healing, like a leech piece, but I just do not have one available. So this would be amazing. As you guys can probably notice, I only have one, and I gave that one to my Erich because he tends to die first, and I'm going to explain you in a second why. On the rest, I do not have anything like that because I want them to pump as much damage as possible. But on Erich, I actually have this chest, and I'm going to test it now for the very first time because before on him as well, I actually had one of these pieces too. So I'm not sure why this is happening, but the character that is at the back for me is the character that dies first all the time. I do not understand why. If I'm going to put Adolphus at the back, my team is going to die at around 6-7 minutes. Every single time. I cannot explain why this is happening. I have no idea why, but it is happening. So something in the coding, it might be something that we have not discovered yet because this is something new to me. I've never actually noticed this previously. But before, my Felicity always used to die. Okay, because she was at the back instead of Erich. And I was like, what the heck is always happening? So I had a look during a run. I saw her dying. Then I swapped the positioning. I saw Erich starting to die all the time. And I was surprised why she's dying all the time, because she's the tankiest out of all of the other damage dealers, okay? Her and Erich are literally the tankiest. So I was like, what the heck is happening? But it's something unknown. I have no idea why it's happening, but just to let you know, because you might actually notice that too. So I find, like, in terms of positioning, this is the best way for my team, okay? Now, if we are talking about skill timing, these are the following skill timings. Flora will have a short cooldown at 10.8 seconds. So basically, you want to put her on 11.6 to go literally before Caspar. So Caspar is going to go at 11.7, the earliest time available for him. We're going to have Felicity going at 11.8, so she's going to apply the defense down straight after it. I could actually even probably put her at 11.7, and it's still going to work more or less the same. Or, yeah, I feel like whatever. It's literally no difference. And then we have Erich going a bit later, okay? Because we want him to make sure that he's triggering everything for the rest of the characters, and we constantly have that damage going in. Now we're gonna put them on an 18-second cycle, because we have that gear set on Erich that will boost the ultimate energy. If not, it's gonna be a 20-second cycle. For Adolphus, we're not going to use anything like that, because he's going to gain a lot of ultimate energy when he's gonna get hit as well from the battle skill, and that will help our team to go ham, okay? As I've mentioned, I've done some changes. I've put this glove on him. I'm very curious to see if he's going to boost my damage a bit, or I'm going to have to basically replace it and go back to the old build. But without further ado, let's actually do a combat simulation and try it out, see what type of damage we're going to squeeze out of the team. My personal best score yesterday was 490 million. Super curious if we're going to manage to beat that. I'm hoping that we're going to manage to beat that, and I'm hoping that my survivability issue is solved. So let's see for how long we survived. 7 minutes, 383 million. Something is definitely not clicking right, or we just had bad RNG. So we're going to retry it again. We have 10 retries. If that doesn't work, I'm actually going to do a full run to check what is the problem. What is happening? Is my Erich dying so freaking fast because I've changed that piece of gear on him? Or is something else? Is that leech good enough on him, or is not? So now we survived 10 minutes. Clearly, some of them died early because I've only dealt 436 million. So if we're looking at the damage, Flora has an insane amount of damage, and Caspar has a pretty good chunk of damage too, but it might not seem as good as before, right? So what I'm quickly going to do on Caspar, I'm actually going to change his build a bit. So I'm going to go to upgrade. I do have this artifact on him, which is basically 30% damage. Or I could bring in the Flame Tongue, which will basically give me overall 35% damage. So I'm going to equip this, and I'm going to change the glove to something else. I'm going to try this one out. I'm going to see how this plays out. So I'm going to drop some crit rate, which is fine. And let's give it a go like this. We want to aim to survive that 10 minutes. Now, unfortunately, my Caspar will end up in dying. I'm not sure exactly when he's going to die. I'm going to play this run. I'm not going to keep you guys here watching all of this stuff. Because anyways, on 4x speed, you don't get to see the debuffs, the buffs, the numbers. You don't get to see none of that. My Adolphus is the target for the single target hit. So I'm going to show you that. And then we're going to skip straight at the end of the run, because I want to see if this will work better, you see. So Adolphus got a hit, which is fine, and now I'm going to put it back on 4x, and I'll catch you guys in a minute. Okay, so in this round we had Adolphus dying a bit too early. I was just trying to see who's dying early in there and who's not, and Caspar's damage is pretty good, but of course we are missing those almost 3 extra minutes in there. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back at combat simulation, and we're going to do it like this till we reach the 10 minutes. So I was curious if we're going to have somebody else dying too early like maybe a Felicity or maybe an Erich. There is a lot of RNG. The boss will deal a lot of damage. But overall, they should be able to survive pretty well. So this is a bit better. Of course, we're going to go back at it again. It seems like they all kind of like got wiped in here at the 8 minutes mark. We're trying to aim for that 10 minutes mark. Now, sometimes the boss will deal a lot of damage, okay? And it's pretty hard to dodge all of it. There is a bit of an RNG when he crits, when he doesn't. 10 minutes maybe, 856, but now we've dealt 487 million damage. So this was much, much better. If we're comparing it with the previous run, where we actually had, how you call it? We had the different build on Caspar, right? We survived 10 minutes, and we haven't dealt such a good amount of damage. So this was better. But we still have 1 minute left, which could take us well over 500 millions. So let's keep on retrying till we actually break the 500 million, because it definitely seems doable, right? I guess there is a bit of a trial and error. Try, retry. Hope that they survive. Hope that not the important one dies. So if Erich dies at some point, I guess we can still get a good chunk of damage. But the problem is, if we're dropping that defense down from Felicity and all that too early, that's going to be a bit of a problem, right? More mythical gear on some of my characters will boost the damage by a lot, of course. My Psychic Core is far off from being maxed on the Elemental Affinity, which definitely sucks. But I'm getting there slowly, so that will boost the damage quite a bit too. So let's actually see. Can we change anything else? So Caspar is doing a good chunk of damage. I feel like overall he was doing more or less the same. So this definitely gives him more, because it's not conditional to him being at full HP, which makes more sense. But in order to do that, I need to use the Flame Tongue to make sure I have the freaking crit rate as high as possible. This right here, not necessarily the best piece, because it gives me attack. So maybe, just maybe, we can go and get a different piece of mythical gear on him right here. Maybe this one. Even though I'm dropping the crit rate, this should bring us more damage than that extra attack. Now, he's getting a bit squishier like this, but that's fine. This should probably add more damage to it, right? So let's give it another simulation. Please go all the way to 10 minutes. Can you keep them all alive? Because I've done runs where all of them survived all the way to 10 minutes. But of course, not today. That was yesterday. So hopefully we're going to see it happening again, because I've got some Ascension done on their gear. So I would have expected them to survive a bit longer. So this is 474 million up to 10 minutes. So before we actually had more damage, Caspar more or less dealt the same. So what do we have right here? 75 million damage. I feel like maybe Felicity died too early. Erich died too early. That's why our damage is not beating the previous one that we've done at 9 minutes. A lot of RNG with these teams. A lot of RNG, because we're only using one support. So there is no guarantee that they will stay alive all the way to the very, very end. You see, 7 minutes only this time around. What I could try to do is see if we change. Let's change that. Let's see if that will affect anything. I don't know why it's happening, but it seems to me that that freaking positioning is important, because my team was always dying at 6 minutes when I put Adolphus there. If I would have like 20, 30 retries like these guys, I would try that as well to show you. So 7 minutes, 56. You see, we definitely dived a bit earlier. Damn, I thought that I'm going to beat my personal best from yesterday. But it seems like it might not happen. It seems like it might not happen, because we are just not surviving all the way to the very end, which kind of sucks. So I have to probably do quite a few manual runs today. Just put it on in the background and let it play, basically, to try and get to that point where we are surviving all the way to the end, right? But it's still a pretty crazy result, right? Like rank 18 on the server with the damage. We've done 487 million, actually a bit less than yesterday. And I've got 2 talents on Adolphus and on a Felicity today. I've got my elemental affinity to 2% on the Psychic Core, and I ascended some of the gear. So it's almost like instead of upgrading the damage, I downgraded the damage. So I've got this active today too. It's only 2%, right? But it should still be a bit of a boost. I guess it's just that RNG of the characters not surviving. So I'll have to retry it. I'll keep you posted in my Discord if you haven't joined that yet. The link is in the description or the pinned comment. A bunch of awesome people around there. But that was pretty much it, guys. That's how you build a Flora team. Of course, you can definitely improve it by getting better gear, by getting the Psychic Core, by getting, of course, inspirations on your characters. I wanted to check this out on him. Maybe it's not as good as getting one of these freaking helmets or a weapon to basically keep your character alive. I'm gonna have to basically give it a testing with this as well, and I'll have to do that a bit later. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. As usual, appreciate all of you guys watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.